bring this feature to you, I have with me Abdullah, our Mysore franchisee partner at DesignCafe. Hi Abdullah.
Hi.
And thank you so much for doing this. We're going to try to make this as pain-free as possible. Abdullah just confessed to us it's the first time he's been on camera, so we're going to be a little easy on him and forgive both of us for any reason that this is slightly awkward or strange, right?
Yeah.
Though it's not going to be. So just to introduce Abdullah here, Abdullah was one of our early franchisee partners, and while we were still thinking through how we wanted to undertake this whole partner program, I think one of the first few thoughts we had was to partner with people from the industry, from people who had specific domain experience, and to make sure that we were also aligned with people who had that thirst and that passion to kind of take this much further. And Abdullah was somebody we identified. Abdullah, if you could tell us a little bit about your background and journey before we actually kind of tied up.
Okay. So I'm an architect and I've been practicing architecture since 2014.
Right.
So my practice is to cater to a small group of people who are looking to build their houses, not very lavish or so.
Sure.
So, and also my aim is to provide end-to-end solutions to them, wherein they come to me for design and I could even build their house for them.
Right.
So that was the agenda right from the beginning. So I've been doing that since 2014 and yeah, that's the thing.
Especially as fellow architects, this was a pain point that we understood completely. Right? We understood how the effort it takes to actually scale up a boutique design firm, how suddenly focusing on marketing, focusing on what is happening on every single platform and furthering your reach on social media, now dealing alongside the actual core business, which is design, which is site services, which is what's happening with the project, managing the customer experience itself takes a toll. And this is one of the biggest drawbacks in actually being able to scale a boutique firm, right?
Yep.
So this was part of our reasoning behind why we said we will reach out to fellow industry professionals and scale up with them. So Abdullah here is our franchisee partner at Mysore. I want to hear, therefore, Abdullah, from you, once we came with this whole offering, why did you choose to kind of go ahead with your partnership with DesignCafe?
Okay, see the main reason to go ahead with DesignCafe was our philosophies aligned to each other. Okay, so like how my agenda was to offer end-to-end solutions to any client who was looking for architectural service, some way that is what even DesignCafe is doing. Okay, so that was when it clicked that this is who I am going to partner. Although there are a lot of people, but this was the most satisfying one to me.
You know, I don't know how I can explain this. As we have gone forth and now expanded across multiple cities, we have done a whole document. We've talked about our vision statement about how we want to democratize home interiors for such a large set of people. But we never had this in the beginning when we actually spoke to Abdullah, right? And we had to depend on the connection we were able to make and the fact that we understood each other as fellow industry professionals and where we said we'd go forth from there.
Yes.
Share to begin with your experience and how it's been. Now it's been more than a year. How has your experience been as a franchisee partner with us?
Oh, it was my first experience, to be honest. I haven't had any such thing in my career. Okay, going back a little bit, interiors is a large part of any complete home, right? So since my agenda was clear, so that's the reason why I got with DesignCafe and all that aspect. So then after we've had initial talks, then it came to setting up the store, which is quite easy. And people at DesignCafe, I drew a lot of help from them. It be in terms of design or it be in terms of executing. Okay, even though it was a city based out of Mysore, so we've had a lot of help. And we grew together, to be honest, in this past 1 year.
Absolutely. One of the key, I think, aspects that Shazan and I both say, that we want to make sure we have in the profile of a partner we kind of decide to go ahead with, is somebody who understands that this is not an area where everything will happen as per plan, Actually, this is something we say to our customers, right? To people who sign up, that please understand that because the ecosystem is still not so organized, because labor is still as disorganized and chaotic as ever, that though there's an entire SOP, though there is a project plan, things will go wrong. But the people from the space know and understand that, and that's ideally where we like to kind of go ahead with, right? So if you could talk about the support that you received from the team to set this up in the beginning.
Okay, firstly, it was done specifically for Mysore.
Right.
Okay, so keeping in mind the target audience, what the city as such needs, so the store was designed accordingly. Okay, so based on that, we came to a conclusion as to how many kitchens or whatever that is going to be there. So there was a lot of involvement from the designers from DesignCafe,
Right.
who frequently visited Mysore, and we came up with a design. And then, okay, we back at Mysore chose who the vendors are going to be to execute, but then there was frequent, site visits happening from the designers, ensuring that, the design was executed as per planned.
Right.
It could be drawn that we were the first clients in Mysore, so
Right.
that could be that is the most apt thing to say it. So that was how it was at the beginning when it came to setting up the store.
One aspect that I'd like to add to this, right, is at DesignCafe, a keen thing is personalization. That is literally our USP and how we stand out amongst everybody else. But another aspect to this we understood was how we would personalize the offering per city. And while you can understand what are the colors and the finishes that matter city by city, I think a larger amount that we wanted from partners such as yourself was this deeper understanding of what really sells in a city, what makes Mysore different from Bangalore from an interior design perspective, and similarly for Chennai, for Hyderabad, and anywhere across the country, right? To bring in that local flavor was again something that we couldn't have done as well in my mind by ourselves that we could with a partner like Abdullah. If you actually think of this space, and especially coming from a city like Mysore, you have seen this whole segment grow in the last, not just 10 years, but if I say 5 years, right? If you think of the marketing opportunity in the home interior segment, how do you see this having grown in Mysore, your own perspective of it, and what do you see ahead in the future?
Okay, so right now there's been a lot of scope. Okay, people want unique things.
Right.
People are looking to explore and not holding back on anything. Okay, even budgets are compromised in that sense, unless they are getting something unique, and which is happening at a rapid pace. We can say that it is doubling every 5 years.
Right.
Okay, so that is how it has been, and the future is always better than what it is now.
And is there something specific about COVID that changed this whole piece in your mind?
This is personal. See, people have become a lot more open. Okay, people are not hesitant in any manner. Okay, earlier, if I were to say, a person building a house would have exhausted his funds towards the end,
Right.
and would have not had any funds remaining to finish up the project, and that would remain as is.
Right.
For the next 10 years, 15 years was the case.
Right.
But now it's not the case. People would want things finished. People would want everything done. People would want to move into furnished houses.
Absolutely.
And that is where an industry like this would help them get what they want.
No, 100%, right? We see so much of this, and this is one of the reasons that we're so much more positive and optimistic about expanding across the country, not just to our metro and tier 1 cities, because across India, the whole aspirational Indian who believes truly now that they deserve the best quality work for their home. And I think COVID has kind of brought about a little more awareness around how much time we spend at home and what value it has, right? The fact that you deserve a space to come back to, even if now you've started going to work, which actually is restful, which is peaceful and great, and we are able to provide that now. How lucrative you see this as a business opportunity, partnering with DesignCafe to further your business?
Okay. See, this is very lucrative. The reason being, even though there are organized players like DesignCafe in the market, a large portion of the market is still unorganized. So there is a lot of market to tap into. So that itself would make it very lucrative. So I think, and since I already mentioned that this is growing at a very rapid pace, you could assume, like I said, twice, in say 5 years or 2 years. So yeah, it is very good in that sense.
What sort of ROI are you actually seeing as a partner with the DesignCafe franchising program?
So once up and running, you could safely assume about 35 to 40% of ROI.
And
that would be
a jump from you were running a firm
tiered.
before, right?
Yes.
So what's like now? Say for example, we have a partner in Bangalore and who was running a firm much like yourself before, and he was able to see a 2-fold jump, a doubling of his revenue numbers in the first 6 months, I remember. But by the time he came to that very important second half of the year, he was able to see a 4-fold jump.
Okay.
Something like that you can tell us in Mysore.
What I was mentioning to ROI, that was only in terms of interiors.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, Mysore is not, it can't be compared to Bangalore. It can't be like 2 folds or 4 folds in a year, but it is very healthy for what it is.
Right. And this is something I definitely wanted to ask, even though I put him quite on the spot and he wasn't prepared for this. But it's because we see the interior market being very different across the country, right? Now, actually, what we get in a Mumbai, we don't compare to Hyderabad. What we get in Hyderabad, we don't compare to Chennai, because we realize that each city has its own characteristic, and there are areas and phases in which some of these do exceptionally well, right? So the location we actually pick, the cities that we actually choose to go into are so critical, and we want to ensure that when we have a partner reach out to us, that they're also convinced that that city is a great market for DesignCafe to come in. So one outreach of course happens from us, but to be honest, recently a lot of it are partners who reach out to us and say, I would love to partner with you, and can I get a store in Bhubaneswar? Can I do it in Lucknow? Can I now find one in Udaipur? Which I wasn't convinced about, but Jaipur, which I'm looking at. So while we keep bridging this and going up north, I think a lot of it is, first of course, is it viable? And will it increase your business where you are committed to growing the site, right? And we want to make sure that that happens. Compare DesignCafe to the other organized players, not the unorganized sector, the organized players?
See, I've been an architect, and I've been in this industry for some time. So probably when I set out my practice, there weren't many players as such, okay, in Mysore. So I've always had a chance to peek at them whenever I visit Bangalore or so. So DesignCafe is probably, I thought that they had a much better quality, that the compromises were not made here in any way. So even before trying to be a partner, or even before being a partner with DesignCafe, I knew of their quality, and I was certain with the kind of products that are delivered to the clients. That's one. The other thing is that DesignCafe has a very large catalog, a portfolio where people could choose from. See, modular furniture, although it sounds like you could make any number of combinations, that's not so easy, right? A company has to be prepared for the client to offer whatever he demands. So in that way, I found their catalog to be way larger than any other player.
Got it. I'm very happy that Abdullah got this out, right? At DesignCafe, considering this is started out by 2 architects, we were very committed from the beginning to not have a catalog at the front end for customers. That for every customer, this is a design for a customer solution. But of course, this is completely a modular solutions company, which means that we manufacture, right? And you have seen our factory facility. That we have 2 factories spanning 65,000 square feet in Bangalore, and everything is manufactured in-house. The only way we're able to do this is have a catalog at the back end to make sure we deliver the same quality each and every time. And that's what you're alluding to.
Yes.
If you could differentiate between different parts of this, right? Think of your interior practice when you worked. Are there things that you designed then that now you find a very seamless switch to what we do at DesignCafe? Are there some things that you find that this doesn't work anymore and you no longer do that in your practice?
Okay, see, prior to this was all on-site execution.
Right.
Okay, so this is a main draw. Since most of it is factory made,
Right.
and it is more of installation on-site, right? So that has been a major draw.
Okay. And if you think of on-site work versus this, and from the perspective of a design professional, right? How much does it simplify your life, both as a designer and second as an entrepreneur?
Okay, it does a lot of simplification. Simple reason being there are softwares in place
Right.
that make our job a lot easier, and there are set paths where we follow.
Right.
And prior to it was different for every person. So right now we've been able to cut time by, let's say, more than half of what we were able to do earlier.
How lovely. And while this itself is a great ambitious step forward, cutting time by half, which is a huge pain point in the home interior industry, I want us to go much further, where we actually reduce this time. And this is why we got carpentry, right? We were working on another solution that would reduce time.
Yes.
And then we hit upon a combined solution in the form of carpentry. But we have to bring the learnings that we have here now back to DesignCafe to see how much further we can go. But that is the job of this year. A little bit of this is very intimidating, I guess, for some of the potential franchisee partners who would probably hear this, because you're an architect, and as you've said time and time and again, you understand all of these aspects very well. For somebody who is not a design professional, say somebody is coming from a products business in the home interior space, somebody is coming from the services but not a design professional space, right? How would they understand the advantages of DesignCafe versus a competitor? What are the other advantages you've seen as running this franchisee, which a customer is able to see, which is very different? One is catalog, but that comes from a very design professional perspective, right? Like when I was wearing a hat of an architect, and I remember thinking that look at the amount of time we waste in checking drawings, right? And we have to do it because I remember once we had this, I'm not going to take names, but there was a designer, a junior designer of mine in my practice, who designed a drawer at 5 feet in a corner wardrobe.
Okay.
Like, you know that's impossible, right?
Exactly.
First, you can't do a drawer at 5 feet. You obviously cannot do a drawer in a corner wardrobe. But the very fact is, if you didn't check drawings when you run a practice, things like this would go get executed at site. And as a designer, I remember thinking that I had to get modular catalogs in place so that mistakes, real mistakes that we would have to break and waste and lose time, money, effort towards would no longer be done. But then also as an entrepreneur, I figured that this is the way, one, you already mentioned, to scale, that you have the ability to reach such a larger audience, right? But other than that, I see a big advantage in how the ecosystem itself is changing. How earlier the carpenters were at site, and now they're able to just, get these flat packs out and just using minifixes put together a whole house in less than a month, which they would sit for 3 to 6 months to actually do.
Yes.
Right? If you are talking about how the ecosystem is organized in terms of our vendors and the products that we're able to get reliably at a certain point, the fact that you're able to give such a large catalog of finishes and materials, because as an architect, it's so hard to actually stay up to date as to everything that's going out, right?
Yes.
And this way, again, when I was just a design professional, it was impossible to stay on top of it. But now, because we have a dedicated R&D team, they're able to constantly update and tell us what is out there in the market, which we give everybody the benefit of. So I'm saying there are advantages to be had from a designer point of view, but there are also advantages from an entrepreneur running a business point of view.
Sure.
Just something else that comes to mind.
So see, now say if I were making a box, right, then I were to know how things work. And how do I cut and how do I do a lot of things. But here I don't need to look at any of such things.
Right.
They are already taken care of.
Correct.
There's a set path, like I said already, and I could focus and have more time on design itself communicating and interacting with the clients. I could spend more time with the clients and not worry so much about the production or how things are going to happen. Say simply in terms of delivering the products on site. That's going to happen without me knowing it in any way.
Right.
So this is probably one of the biggest advantages, and I would also look at it as a slight disadvantage that people don't know the pain that is going at the end, to make things work. So yeah.
Interesting. But the point he first brought about was which is why we are able to hire designers who have from 3 years upwards of experience and work on this, and we're able to give them a home interior project to do. And this was unheard of, right? Back on this. When we actually graduated, architect firms told you, unless you have 10 years experience minimum,
you have no entry into the office.
You have no right to get in and talk to a customer and take such a large project by yourself. And now we are quite confident, we are very confident in being able to do this, because the whole tech piece, the whole tech stack ensures that mistakes like this just cannot happen. And senior design professionals can focus in on delivering maximum value to the customer, right? So every day we hear such interesting interventions that have been done on the behalf of the customer. If you could just highlight customer experiences of projects that you have been part of with DesignCafe that you'd like to highlight.
Okay, it's just been a year,
right?
And we've dealt with we've completed more than 10 projects for sure, and every single customer is a happy customer.
Guys, just as an aside, the Mysore DesignCafe team has the highest Google rating and satisfaction scores of all of our partners, and that's something we're very proud of.
See, that since day one, customer satisfaction was a priority. Not just for the franchisee, but for DesignCafe itself, right? So everything, see here, the focus point is the customer.
Right.
Everything is for the customer. So yeah, we've managed to achieve a very high customer satisfaction, but this wouldn't have been possible without the backend support that we've got, the experience that was shared, which otherwise we didn't have, the expertise. So it was. It worked all together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember going through a couple of the positive feedbacks that we have actually received from customers. One person who actually said that I'm so happy to see such solutions now in Mysore, right? Earlier, you would go to Bangalore to ensure that you got this, but you always expected that because it was coming from Bangalore, there would be a lag, it would not work as well as it did there. But that we were used to expecting a lack of services, a lack of the full experience that your family would get in Bangalore, right? And the very fact that has changed, and from the customers who actually said that, they said the very fact that everything here is recorded, every single thing is actually tracked, it actually makes me feel exactly like I'm running my business. And I still thought that Mysore was 5 years, it would take another 5 years for this to come to Mysore, and they were extremely happy to see this coming there. I was a little surprised in the beginning, because we do have a lot of organized players who have come into Mysore in the past couple of years, right? But I still feel that there is that gap which we have been able to bridge together on how you're able to put the customer at the center and build everything around them there, right? And big kudos to you and your team on what you've been able to do, because you genuinely have reached out to make sure that the experience for each customer is as much or more than we actually like it to be.
Yeah, see, it is ultimately all about the customer.
Absolutely.
So in my architecture practice, I've had repeating clients.
Right.
A happy customer is always going to bring you more business, is always going to, they basically start wishing well for you.
Right.
And architecture and home interiors is one such thing that, you spend way more time with customer, right? You spend months together.
100%.
So it's beyond a customer businessman relationship. You end up becoming friends sometimes.
Oh, 100%. Right?
So yeah.
Actually, you're just saying become. I have some of my best friends, people who actually were in my wedding, who we do vacations with, are people who are clients of mine in my earlier practice, right? But because we spent months with them, we built relationships with them that were beyond just work.
Yeah. and that happens only when there is honesty from the end of a designer, or it be an architect or anything.
Right.
So, see, they have to be made understood that we are all working for them.
Right.
And as long as this is done, yes, we are going to have very happy customers, and that has been our philosophy right from the beginning.
Absolutely. This is what Abdullah just said was something that to date, when we have customers, I remember this being different when we started out, where we said that there was a fair amount of chaos in the space, that there were a lot of things to figure out, but that we still would be there with them till the very end and make sure that we deliver what we promised. But then what earlier took us between 75 to 90 days, we have been able to cut down to 45 to 60 in what we deliver post a design is signed off for production, right? And that is because at the end of the day, you're thinking and communicating to customers across everything that happens. And like this is still not a fully organized space. There is still a fair amount of unpredictability. But as long as there are partners like this who will take forth the philosophy of the fact that you should communicate honestly and transparently, especially when things go wrong, not just when things are good, I think we have a bright future ahead for all of us. Abdullah, thank you again for taking this time.
Thank you so much.
And kind of coming all the way here to get this done for us. We're so happy to be bringing your message of your own success and your partnership with us to everybody else. We're also talking about the franchisee partner program that we have here at DesignCafe. We have been very interested from the initial experiments, as I said, where we weren't fully clear on how we were going to do this. But with partners like yourself, we have solidified our thought process that we want people who are from the industry. So we have a combination of architects and designers like yourself. We have people who are contractors and run civil, interior, product businesses, smaller businesses. People who are from a services and products business, but also from the home interior space. So one of these three, but most importantly, somebody who has that drive, that thirst to do so much more, and with the backing of an entire mechanism like that, like the one that exists at DesignCafe, can take this to a whole other level. And is completely aligned on the culture and values that we have here at DesignCafe, where we put the customer first, that we are honest and transparent with each other, that we are very clear on the expectations we set. Everyone, this is Abdullah, as I said, our partner here at Mysore. Please do visit our store at Mysore. This is the entire team is geared, trained and ready to deliver home interiors at the highest level with all of the expertise that we lend at the back end from DesignCafe. Abdullah just was talking us through all of the different aspects of being a franchisee partner with us at DesignCafe. If you're interested, if there are more details that you'd like to know, please do reach out with the email ID and the form below, and make sure that you reach out to our team and we'll help you through the process.
Thank you, Gita. Thank you so much for having me here. And for the people of Mysore, we have a lot of firepower right now and an amazing team who can help you get your dream interiors. So please do visit our store and have a look at what we have to offer.
So make sure you see how home interiors in Mysore can truly be going forward.